I am telling y'all, I was in NBA locker rooms with opponents of the Boston Celtics who were feeling sorry for Gordon Hayward because he was so slow and so incapable of defending them. They were like, why is he even on the court? If they felt that way, you know the team felt that way. So you have to take those things into consideration and look at it, and also look at the fact that Danny Ainge has made a lot of decent moves, but the blockbuster move that he made years ago, his friend Kevin McHale hooked him up by giving him KG. Doc Rivers being his coach certainly made players more receptive to coming there. And the recruiter that is Danny Ainge, I'm not talking about the guy that drafts, that uses the draft or makes trades, but there's another element that comes along with his job description, and that's having the ability to recruit. We haven't seen that from him yet, and that's why I say I have my questions about him right now. Not necessarily doubts, but definitely questions.
I have not lost my confidence in Danny Ainge. And Stephen A., I think your criticism and your doubts or your skepticism are entirely overstated. I listened to you yesterday, Stephen A., here on First Take, say that you thought Danny Ainge deserves criticism. It was time to bring him into the eye of the storm. And yesterday, and then again today, Stephen A., your main criticism has been his inability to bring in that big fish, to bring in that superstar. You asked, hey, when's there ever been a team that's won it all without a superstar? What I would say is I think you are being an armchair quarterback. You're being a Monday morning quarterback. Hindsight 2020. Max is right. The Danny Ainge and the Celtics have suffered from some very bad luck. And it's not just Gordon Hayward. It's that Kyrie Irving didn't work out. It's that Anthony Davis, by all reports, doesn't want to be a Boston Celtic. But you cannot say that Danny Ainge didn't swing for the fences. What was trading for Kyrie Irving except for trying to bring in that superstar? That was the move you're asking for, Stephen A. That was the move, and it didn't work out.
And he got him at a good price.
Well, first of all, it wasn't swinging for the fences because the priority there was getting rid of Isaiah Thomas, whose health was compromised, but was still looking to make over $150 million, which Danny Ainge didn't want to do. He was fresh off of a season averaging 28.9 points, but had jeopardized himself because even though he was hurt, obviously they were chasing something.
Why disagree? It's an even better move.
No, the priority was bringing in Kyrie. At the time, everyone, and I think everyone at this table, thought Kyrie Irving was a 1A superstar.
No, nobody's questioning that.
We all now know that he's a 1B. But the point is, Danny Ainge made the move that we all would have celebrated at the time.
Will, wait, you're missing even a larger point that Stephen A. just made for you. Stephen A., that's an even better move in that case. If you're looking to get rid of Isaiah Thomas, and in the process you bring in Kyrie Irving, it's a great move.
See, once again, Max, that's why you annoy me. Because Will said, I was responding to Will's point about he was swinging for the fences. I'm saying it wasn't swinging for the fences. It was trying to get rid of Isaiah Thomas.
Wait, it's only swinging for the fences? So you mean to tell me it's not swinging for the fences if it also does other things you want to do?
No. What I'm saying to you is that it's an easy decision to make if you're trying to get rid of a miniature dude whose health is compromised, that's trying to get $150 million.
I'm saying your criticism of him.
I'm just talking that point.
And what I'm saying is your criticism of Danny Ainge is that he's not capitalized on their window and their moment with the assets they've had to bring in a superstar. And what I'm telling you is he did do that. He tried with Kyrie. He signed Gordon Hayward. He didn't go after Kawhi. I'm curious if that's your criticism of him. And he couldn't bring in AD. Well, the thing about the Kawhi trade, Max, is not legit to me because I give Masai Ujiri a ton of credit for making that deal. It's not like everybody,
jump in right there,
it wasn't obvious.
And I'll throw it right to you. If your point is that Danny Ainge's stock has fallen a little bit, if you're saying he's on Masai Ujiri, those are 1A and 1B, two best GMs in the East, then his stock has fallen a little. But that's different than saying you're not as good as Masai Ujiri is not the same thing as saying that people have lost confidence in you. It's just that no one's above criticism and no one's perfect.
Well, with all due respect, I don't think you're the one to make the argument because you were calling him the best. I'm not calling for the man to be fired. I'm not saying he's incompetent. I'm not saying he did a bad job. What I'm saying is the pristine position that he was sitting, that pedestal that he was on in all of our eyes has dissipated somewhat. That's all I'm saying.
Please.
Or go ahead, Will.
I was just going to say, if you're going to lob this criticism, what you need to be clear about is what you would have done differently. And I can't pinpoint what the Celtics should have done differently.
Me personally, I would have took the chance on Anthony Davis. Not this particular moment in time, but maybe earlier. If I've got these assets and I've got Kyrie Irving there, and it's a value to me to keep a Kyrie Irving, if I have to go, excuse me?
But you couldn't if Kyrie.
Excuse me?
If you're making that argument, you need to say they never should have traded for Kyrie.
No. What that comes down to is would you trade Tatum? Would you have traded Tatum?
Stephen A., I know the CBA rule. When you traded for Kyrie, you had to wait a certain amount of time before trading for AD. So they had to wait till this summer to try to trade for AD.
No, I understand that. I get that point. I understand that rule as well. What I'm saying to you is this. I am looking at the fact that if I'm focused on keeping Kyrie, right? I'm thinking along the lines of Kyrie. I'm trying to get AD here. I want you to stay. You're a valuable component to the squad. We saw all the storylines coming out of Boston. We talked about whether or not Kyrie was a problem and why. We saw Jason Tatum look depressed. We saw Jaylen Brown look frustrated. We saw Morris speak out about not necessarily the dissension that was in the locker room, but how we've all got to come together. And I told you on many occasions, the Gordon Hayward angle was far more profound than y'all were willing to give it credit for. And I'm saying all of that is not Brad Stevens. Brad Stevens answers to somebody. That guy is Danny Ainge, who was a player and a damn good one. And he knows. He knows better. And there were things that he could have done differently. That's what I'm saying.
Question to Will's point, since you had to wait to make the move for AD, would you have? It comes down to this. If Danny Ainge was willing to include Jason Tatum in a trade, they surely would have gotten AD at least on a one-year rental. But they'd have to gamble that they can keep him past that.
This summer.
I would not have included Tatum in a trade. I would want to hang on to Tatum, and I wouldn't have rested him on a one-year rental for AD, even if that meant I would keep Kyrie. What would you have done? Would you have traded Tatum to get AD?
We need a yes or no here.
Yes. Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For more sports highlights and analysis, be sure to download the ESPN app. And for live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.